Welcome guys, tonight's video, take 2. I actually tried doing this a couple of weeks back. There was an issue in the room with sound. We couldn't get a sound at all. You wouldn't have heard anything at all. Even we were struggling to hear ourselves think. So we're going to try again today. I'm coming down at Malaska Golf Club. I'm with Matt Baker, the UK's only Malaska coach, having a lesson. Now, just a bit of context. I met Matt back in July when I was struggling with my putting. I was horrific, really in a murk. I come across Matt, just by chance we hit it off. We've been talking on social media and stuff. Really changed my putting, as you've seen on some of my videos. Really starting to putt well. I had a round in August. I totally lost my head, not even going to pretend. Head had fell off. I messaged Matt, SOS, I need it. He got me in. Been working with him since. Now, as I say, I since found out Matt is the only UK certified Malaska coach. And I was like, oh, can we do a video, please, for the channel? Matt's been brilliant. Said, yep, not a problem. We came down the other week. Like I say, we had some sound issues. We couldn't hear ourselves think. It was horrific. So we're trying again today. Hopefully going to do some videos for my channel, some videos for his channel. So keep your eye out. I'm going to drop his comments and details down below. And as always, if you've not hit that like and subscribe, make sure you do, please. Matt is a fantastic guy. Obviously helped me grow, but help him as well. And if you want to take your game to the next level, Matt is the man for you.
I've got coats, remember, is the key phrase here.
Yeah.
You do the heat.
You see the legs, you see the ball in the club and the legs, you don't see anything else. You know what I'm out something I'm like.
You can do wide angle, obviously, but it makes you look disproportionate. Yeah, well, makes you look weird.
I just look, I know, you can see it's like my hips, you can't see. This one there. I've not set that one yet, that was just to give.
Okay, so you're still doing this drill religiously?
Just as me one, it's like you start with that. Before I tee off or anything like that, I just go in, just with one of my wedges, this one on my 54, just to get, like I said, just get them hips moving. Yeah. Last time I was here, we went, where did we go now? We took the kids in Manchester, went in one, is it Fun Copenhagen?
Oh yeah.
And they had the bands. Oh. So I actually went, they had them there, so I was like, get them. I think little girls walk around with a horse and I'm walking around with these exercise bands.
To the little kid, can I have that, mister? No. Well, this little drill will help you out immensely with what you've been struggling with regards to the overhooks. Because what it's doing as well is remember its sole primary focus was to train the wrists as well. Okay. So with regards to that, the wrists actually work. If we swap places a second. So remember what we were talking about with regards to, back in the day when we used to go and practice with no ranges like this, we had to go and pick our own balls up. Yeah. So you take your shag bag out, you put it in the middle of the thing, and you start just walking around, just chipping the balls back to the ball. You never missed the bag, right? You never missed it. It was always accurate. And the reason being for that was because we were training how this right hand works. Okay, and we talk about this throw action or this throw motion, all right? Because what we don't want to have is any of this forearm rotation. And for many years we were taught to open the face, hold the angle, rotate the hands. Okay, 20 years, 30 years have been doing that one. Whereas this motion here, this hinging back and hinging through this way, or this motion here, my club face remains squarer for longer. Alright? And that's going to keep you a bit more accurate. Remember, it's square to the swing path, not to the target. Because that goes into a different route of closing the face and opening the face, whereas it stays square to my swing path. So there is a slight bit of closing to the face, if that makes sense. Because I swing on a circle, don't I?
Yes.
So, but this little action of, this little motion of just one-handed chips, my right hand will automatically and naturally work hinging back and hinging through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to stand there and turn the wrist and turn it over, which is what you've been doing and I was doing for many, many years. My right hand will work in backwards through. Like I said, you could throw a duvet over any of those, couldn't you? And they're landing on each other. Yeah. So it's just literally a grown-up version, really. When we make the full swing, my right hand works in that sort of action. So that motion, or how we release the club, is important to learn. But just doing it like So one of the things we see so many amateur golfers do they'll do a drill or they'll do a swing feel. Right, I've done that now. Give me the driver. I'm going to do it with that. I go from first gear to fifth gear within 5 minutes of hitting a shot. Whereas just doing this, like you've just been doing there with your warm-ups, is just training you unbeknown to hit the ball straighter. Alright? Now the other level is you could then, so when we were going back to our shag bag thing, we would chip back to the ball and you'd be pretty accurate when you were doing that. And then your right hand might get a little bit tired, and you'd even do it with the left hand as well. This isn't as easy, but you're doing it with the left hand, just pulling through, and then again, the ball will go roughly to where you want it to go. So, but this is training my left hand to release pop. There was a video clip the other week. There's been one of Tiger Woods doing this with his chipping, and there's also one of John Daly, standing there. He just does it a bit different than Tiger's, cigarette and so on. But it's the same sort of motion. He was doing like these long pitch shots where he just stands there and just swings through. He says, I do this with my pitching. He just sort of stands there and does this with his pitching. But that motion, or this feeling, he releases the club this way with his left wrist, works this way, as opposed to this thing of rolling over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's a training thing. Now, when you've done that with the hands like so, my left wrist works more. It works more as I come and hit the ball. My right hand works this way. My hand then action works in this fashion, where I feel as though I'm throwing the club this way, and my palm feels as though it's facing towards the wall over there. Imagine if I had a big red X in my hand. I'm pointing that towards the target. Whereas we see so many golfers, we were trained to do that for many years, was to roll the hands over, even get our watch faces to point towards the ground. Now, there is a case in point where that is necessary for some golfers who have spent many years of, holding cover drives and all this business. But for most golfers, especially skilled golfers like yourself, okay, you've gotten good with the hands. So the first thing, now I know you didn't like the change, but the first thing was the change in the grip, and we'll recap on that again as well in a minute. But if I had a grip, which for many years we all have, and I've had the same, where I have what they call a neutral grip, okay, where the palm of the hand is matching the right hand, like so. Now the issue with that is that's not how my joints line up, all right? So whenever force or pressure is put onto my arm, and I'm pushing this left hip back and so on, my arm will rotate to where it's strongest, okay? And that means then my club face is naturally wide open. So going back to Mike's story, Mike Malaska, he said when he went through his physio and all this business, and he went to see this guy called Peter Goskew, who was back in the 80s. He was actually physio to Jack Nicklaus at the time. That was Mike's link to Jack and so on. And he said, right, Mike, Pete, throw the book at me. What's my body doing in the golf swing and so on? And the first thing Pete said to him, why'd you hold the club that way? And he was like, well, I've been told to do that. And Pete was like, that's just not how your joints line up. And Mike was like, what do you mean? So he had Mike stand like this, got this back of the hands facing to the target, blah, blah, blah. And he just took his right hand off and he just grabbed the club. And you can see the face is square here. And he just pulled his arm towards him. And Pete said, but that's how your joints line up. And Mike said, but the club face is open. He said, yeah. He said, that's how you've been hitting the ball throughout most of your career. But Mike was a good player, obviously, and he'd learned through the years that he had to, pros call it supplination and all this malarkey. But the problem is with that, he's having to then rotate the forearms. And Mike would say to me, well, Matt, who would you rather play against? The guy that actually swings a golf club like this, okay? Or the one who does this? Well, I'd rather play this guy, because I'm going to beat them, yeah? The one who's learned to come into the ball at this angle and square up this way, they're going to be a bit more of a threat. So that's where we're seeing, that's because you had so many years of pushing that forward, club getting behind you, club face gets a little bit open, you had a weaker grip, you then had to work the hands over to try and square the face up. You can do that, you can play shots that way, and you're good enough with your hands, but how consistent can you be at doing that? And that's the trick, because I suppose that was the biggest learn for me through the Malaska system, was it was all about keeping the face square to the swing path. It was like, imagine I'm stood in this massive hula hoop, and that was my next purchase, is to get one of those big hula hoops. Hey, even AI was telling me how to build one out of plastic tubes, yeah. Good old Max. I call him Max ChatGPT, because I gave him a name. So anyway, but imagine I'm stood in this big hula hoop. My club face will stay at 90 degrees to that hula hoop. Does that make sense? So I've got a big circle going around me here. I've got this club face will stay here. It comes back down, it's square. Some pros will say it's the leading edges running in line with their spine.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, but it's staying square to the swing path. That's what it actually is. Okay, I come down, left hip pushes back out of the way, the club face squares up, and then even on the follow through, I'm still square to that, or 90 degrees to that hula hoop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I haven't gone like that. So, grip is very important, getting that correct.
I've been working on strengthening that, because that's what we said, getting them natural.
The basic is...
Since I've done that, that's where the left seems to be coming more from.
Yeah, but that's because you're still living in rolling.
Right.
Yeah. So, you can actually fade it from this position. It's amazing now, if you watch on the tour, how many young kids are coming in now with much stronger grips, as they would call it. There's no coincidence for that. They're coming probably from baseball and places like that. So baseball, you know, was it when you hit a baseball bat, your left palm's down and your right palm's up when you hit a baseball. That gives it the support. But in golf, obviously, I put my thumb in there, I put my right hand on the side of it, and I'd square the face up like that. I come down to the impact. That's how I really want to sort of be hitting the ball. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Because that gives me the compression and squareness to the face. So that's the grip is important. But how to do the grip is it's got to represent how your left arm hangs through from address. That's how my joints line up. You know, Pete Cowan talked about this many years ago when he did his pyramid videos that I think most of us probably owned.
For my time.
But Pete Cowan, you know, he was talking about finding your neutral grip or natural grip. And they used to talk about how the left hand works this way because it adds in compression. It gets all the shoulder joints to line up and so on. So that's the feel. That's the correct. In my world, that's the correct place to be. Now there'll be people that will argue and say, "Oh no, that's wrong." You know, talk about matchups and so on. Great, you carry on doing that. That's fine. But I've learned through coaching that having the grip on correctly and you release the club correctly. Which is more natural than what people think, you actually will hit the ball better. Yeah. If you allow that hand to go, obviously, and you allow the right hand to work over, then I can hit it left all day long. Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed my strike seems better.
It will do, yeah.
It's just,
It's funny though, when I change people's grips to this more neutral grip, amazing how many people say, it feels different, but it doesn't feel wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not felt wrong to me. It's just felt obviously different because I've been that for many years. I've had obviously a weaker grip, so it's a stronger one. It takes. But now I feel like it's coming. Yeah. It's just now I keep getting this left.
Through training release. So just double check that grip. Oh. Set this right hand away. Do you just let this arm just hang down, nice and relaxed. Okay. That's how your palm wants to face or turn in. Okay. Now think about how my wrist hinges as well. My wrist hinges in this, alright, you can call it radial or deviations, or I just call it hinging. Alright? But you can hinge it that way. That's how the left wrist works. So it hinges back and hits this way, not start from here. You then rotate this way, hold the angle, and then you have to rotate hard that way through impact. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas I can simplify it by just hitting like this. And then as I hit through the ball, this left wrist works back and up on its way this way. This arm can still fold, but it hinges that way, not ball in that way. Yeah. So, good. So bearing that in mind, if I just hinge that wrist like that sets the club face nice and square. Yeah, see that's nice and degrees to your spine. Yeah, good. Then you can come through, you can hit this way, club face is square, and then it releases up. What we see golfers who have a weaker grip, they hold the club this way, 2 knuckles, blah blah blah. That's not natural, so they immediately turn the face open. That's why they would struggle to keep it like this. Because to do this, they've got to then go the wrist, or whatever they're going to do. And then from here, the club face is coming in through wide open. They panic at the last minute, turn it over. So that takes away that panic and do that grip. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been working on, is trying to get that.
Let's get rid of this before I break my neck. Now, so to take that a stage further, all right, if we just do an L to L as we call it, so if you swing back up to this L shape here,
Yep.
okay, from here, back of my left wrist is flat or flush to my forearm, okay, it's not cupped, okay, it can even be slightly bowed, but I'm not too fussed about that, but you'll probably feel as though your palm of your right hand is facing that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Now all I'm doing from here, really, is taking that position, but making a mirror image on this side, this side. So now my right hand is flush, okay, and you notice how this one's hinged back on itself, and the palm of this one might feel as though it's pointing towards the target. Yeah?
Yeah.
And the club face is square. Yeah?
So do you want me to just do the L?
Yeah, just do L to L, but you'll feel in a release pattern different. And again, a little bit left. This trackman turn. Yeah, so 7 degrees closed. Path is good though. Remember when you first got it, it was like 3 degrees, 4 degrees into out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So remember, it's not left arm straight, okay? It's not left arm straight that does it. So we see some golfers, what they'll tend to do is they'll tend to try and drag the left arm through this way, okay, or try to hold that off. That's not what we want. The left arm still bows, as does my right arm in the backswing. My left arm does exactly the same on the way through, but how I release the wrist is more important. It's the same as having a frisbee and throwing it backhand, okay, this way. My left wrist will hinge that motion, not stay straight. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm still releasing the wrist through the shot, but my hand is working more up and back on itself, and this arm can still bow. So what you just did on that one there, you're just trying to pull the arm through. I think you're thinking, if I keep the left arm straight, that's going to keep the face squarer for longer. It's the release patterns. Very good. So on the follow through, most people get this, they find this a bit hard. This arm can relax, okay, but this hand is releasing more like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one can relax. So yeah, it's not doing this thing of pushing through this way. Yeah. Good. There we go.
Trusting it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Because it goes. I think the problem is in my coaching is it goes against everything that's been taught out there, in the world. Ironically, though, the thing is it tends to work. But it's generally more of a natural motion than what most people tend to give. So that's what, 2. You could lay a blanket over those. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, like you said, it's don't try and force it.
Yeah, it's the release pattern. So when I'm out and about, you'll often see me standing there and I'll be practicing how my hands work, okay? My hands work in 2 separate ways. My left hand works this way, okay? My left hand works in this fashion, okay? My right hand works in that motion. So I'm practicing constantly this. So it's, most good players fear the left-hand side of the golf course, right? And then when you go and sit in the locker room with some of these good players, they say, "Oh, how do you stop hitting the left?" Well, I just swing the club left. And you're like, "Well, what do I do with that piece of information?" And if you do that, you will hit the ball left if you swing the club left, right? Obviously. But what they try to do is they get the path of the club going to the left, okay, like feeling, but they don't allow. And then the second misinterpretation comes in when pros start saying, "Well, I take the hands out of it," right? That's the biggest cliche of all. They don't take the hands out of it. They're very good with their hands, right? They're highly skilled. But what they do is they've learned a release pattern. This is what these young kids are learning now. They've learned this release pattern where they work the hands this way, okay? As they do in a baseball swing, they've learnt the left hand works this way, which means they can hit it as hard as they blink in like, okay, without any fear of it going left. Yeah? They can release this right hand as hard as they can without the fear of it going over. The fear would come in to then, if I've got the club face right, hands like this, and I'm having to work this over, to then have to time it is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's when the phrases come out from players, well, if I slow it down, I'm actually a lot better, you know, my timing's better. Well, you don't want to slow and swing down, you want to speed up, yeah? But it's how you release the club, which is crucial. I mean, what's that? That's 3 shots in a row there, all on the same button. Club path is 0.8, face angle 0.3, face and path minus 0.5. You couldn't get much better than that.
No.
I mean, not right, 0. But that was 3 shots in a row there. Bang, straight on target. Straight on target.
Actually, I think it's keeping that club head as well, isn't it, in front of my hands.
Yeah, you are.
I have a bit of a more snag.
Yeah, you're a bit guilty of that. Yeah. But again, why? If you put your left hand back where it would be, let's go ridiculously weak. You put your right hand on. Your left hand will want to naturally rotate to its strongest position, which naturally gets the club working behind you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So having a weak grip can actually cause that rolling in of the face. Just when you let it go. A little bit left. Yeah, back to 5.8. Top half came a little inside. 5.8. Sometimes as well though, a lot of that, bear in mind as well, what we worked on before, which was just moving your hips into the wall, that can cause that to happen as well. Very good. Yeah, very good. That felt a lot natural. Yeah, that's nice. You know, virtually zeros. 0.8, 0.2, minus 0.6. And an easy 120 yards. Do you know what I mean? That felt like you hardly hit it.
Yeah.
Maybe minus 1. Very good. Alright, so basically, alright, you're talking about that posture and everything's pretty okay. I mean, you're a tall guy, so you hold your balance quite well. You're aiming a little bit left, but not a problem. But you do see how immediately that first movement is as the club head gets a bit behind. So first parallel back to the swing, you can see how the club is a long way behind your hands, and there's no real wrist set as yet in the swing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're sort of you're allowing that to happen a bit too late. So like when I talk about L to L, you can see how you've still got a long way to go to create an L shape. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you haven't had much of a wrist set there as such. You, like you said, you feel as though you lay the club off pretty flat. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you get it back online here eventually, and I draw 2 lines, so that normally this is what we call shaft plane, this is dynamic swing plane. So yeah, it gets a little steep here. You get the club a little bit behind you a little bit, and it makes you want to release it a little early. But you're pretty much online, if that makes sense. Notice how you're on the dynamic swing plane line?
Yes.
That's why your numbers are 0, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So now most pros will say, oh, well, that's not perfect, but there's always what we call windows of opportunities, and if you can repeat that again and again and again, which you generally do, then you don't really have to go down the realms of having to overfix that too much, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I mean, people talk about having a flat takeaway. Heck, I mean, let's take Lee Trevino, let's take Ray Floyd, let's take some of these great players that have done that, and they did okay. Do you know what I mean? So, but what they did very well was they were able to repeat it. So, yeah, it can look aesthetically pleasing, and that can be a little bit of a. But everybody has a blueprint. It makes sense as long as your face is square to that path, which is. All right, it's a little closed on that one, but not too bad. Yeah, so it's not a disaster, but yeah, you could work on that a little bit.
So how do we? Yeah, let's do that, please.
Yeah, of course we can. So, ideally, from there, what the biggest change I would want to see is, I think a lot of that is a hangover from that old grip, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you were having to roll the forearm in order to get it set into a stronger position. To what felt strong joint-wise, as I would call it, okay, physically. But ideally from here, if I was going to stop you here, I'd like to see the hands a little bit more in and the club head more out.
Yes.
All right. So we need to give you that feel, how that feels, basically. Generally, for me, the biggest feeling would be is that the handle feels as though it goes down while the club head goes up. So you feel as though as you're swinging the club back, the handle goes down and the club head goes up, not around.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's going to feel really weird. There's a drill that I do, we call it the hinge drill, where you stand at address, you're literally going to hinge your wrist upwards and the shaft's going to be level to the ground. That's going to give you the feeling of pushing the handle down and lifting the head up. But
Right.
we're just going to start you from there to see what happens to the swing. Yeah?
Yeah.
Hinge drill. Right? So generally what we tend to want to see from golfers, if we can, because this is all about momentum. Yeah? So if you have a golf club that goes behind you, your momentum is going behind you this way. It can't carry on going that way. So eventually it wants to go up and then across.
Yes.
For most golfers, yeah. So they tend to want to get up here, then come down steep, and then kind of shallow, and you're going down.
Yes.
So you're trying to play with momentum of the club continuously. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a good way to feel this is you want to feel as though that the handle goes down as the club head comes up. Can you feel that slight press down?
Yeah.
So as you're taking,
are dropping down.
yeah, exactly right, but they're not. But as you do that, so that motion here, as you take the club back, will keep the club head outside the hands. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So rather than it going like this, you're going to feel as though it goes more like that. Yeah. So you're hinging the wrist up this way. So it's a gradual thing, right? But a good drill to do. This is hard to start. That's why I put you on a T-peg. But you're just going to hinge the wrist up from address, and notice how that more or less level to the ground. You're just going to get a feeling of the club head and the butt of the shaft moving together. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
But it's going to feel like it moves together here. Now at some point, it's going to be fairly steep, but at some point the club head then wants to pivot over the hands. Yeah? It won't want to keep going like that. Yeah? At some point you want to be out here, then you want to pivot. And what I'd like to see with yours a bit more, when you get to the top here, the club's going to feel as though it's a bit more laid off.
Yeah.
Rather than yours which works this
Yes.
way. Yeah? But that's due to momentum. So you set that trigger going by swinging the club this way.
Yeah.
It then wants to go up and up and up and up.
Has
this
to
way.
go that way.
Yeah. Because you can't keep going that way.
No.
So we're just going to hit a few shots just doing this. So you're just going to hinge the wrist up. I really suggest you do it nice and slow. And you're going to hit balls doing that. So you're just going to hinge the wrist up first, set the wrist, swing it back. You're going to feel it go up and over your hands up to here, and you're going to swing down to your ball.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right, good luck. And it's only on video.
Fine.
Hinge your wrist up, take your time. Very good.
Fine.
Hinge your wrist up, take your time. Very good. So immediately your hands are outside the club head. So immediately, as soon as we get you halfway back, see how that's now in line?
That's miles. Yes.
Huge difference. You know, you were back here before,
Yeah.
and so on. Then it's going to work over the top of your shoulder. Now, again, from where you were before,
Wow.
that shaft would have been pointing over there. So that's using momentum to get the club to swing on the right path for you. Does that make sense?
That just looks so different.
It does, doesn't it?
Wow.
Bang. So doing that drill is an extreme feel, but sometimes if you want to get to here in your swing, all right, and you're starting here, you've got to feel like you're going to there to get to it.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm teaching people, they tend to go, come on, just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know that dance move where there's this thing and somebody just goes like this, like that. Well, that's what they do with their swing. They go, come on, just a little bit, go on, a bit more, go on, go on. Whereas it's very rare I'll get somebody that goes from here, right, and I say to them, whoa, that's too much. Because it's actually easy to go from doing too much to a little bit less.
Yes.
It's actually harder to go from a bit more. So yeah. So just hinge that wrist up a little bit. So it's a great drill to do because it's giving you the feeling of how the wrist might hinge in the swing. Oh. I know you
That just feels so different.
Yeah, does it feel like the club's pointing over there or something?
Yeah, it feels like I'm ready to like almost if I've got an axe, I'm going to hit a tree. You know, it feels like I'm here to go with an axe rather than...
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. You know, the two generally go together because it's, you know, I talk about circles, don't I?
Yes.
You know, the three circles of the swing. And if the club's swinging in the right circles around the body, so the club goes in a circle around me, my hands and arms go around me in a circle, and my body moves in a circle, let's say. And if I get those three circles matching up, then generally I'm on line. Because if one circle's mixing with the other, then I'm out playing. So generally, it does go together, doesn't it? That makes sense. Yeah, nice big hinge up this up, nice and easy back there. Very good.
Just looks so different.
Good. Well, that's a good sign, isn't it? Very good. Yeah, very good. So there will be a period when you'll want to cheat the drill. Don't cheat the drill. Basically.
No, my only question was going to be is when do I go to sort of a normal swing, or would you recommend doing this more? Yeah.
I would do this more, and then I would then blend it in. My advice would always be do it in fives. Do 5 drills, 5 swings, 5 drills, 5 swings, and so on. Yeah. But you see how that's still a little bit behind you, but nowhere near. Like, I mean, it was in your right pocket, wasn't it, before? And at the top of the swing, see how that's more online, as they would call it.
Yeah.
Rather than before, it's pointing over your head. So it's still a little steep on the downswing, but heck, let's do one thing at a time. But yeah, very good. As though from a drink you hold it. You've got to really feel from a dress you're up here. That just exaggerates it. It feels like the club's out here.
Well, it's actually not.
But then eventually it will go over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you just got so used to being around here.
Yeah. It's good.
But hopefully you can start to feel the difference.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I can feel.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it feels like you're keeping the club outside your hand.
It does feel like I'm almost disjointed in a way, but I'm not.
No. If funny way, it should actually make you more connected.
Yeah.
Hinge it up, turn it back here. Very good. I mean, I do that. I mean, what was it Fowler said when he used to do his preset? I used to do this till the cows come home.
About 3,000 balls a day.
Yeah, just to your hands move. That's all I ask for. See with that white surgical. See with that white surgical tape on your finger. So when you're taking the club away, you're going to start to feel the handle push down and the club head go up. The whole point there is we don't want, because when I see people do this sometimes, they'll start to then lift their arms away.
Yeah.
And that way you're going to cheat it as well. So you're feeling as though you're feeling the butt of the club is moving at the same time as the club head. And that keeps the circle a bit more in check. Brilliant. Very good. I mean, look, that was within one swing, we stopped you from going inside the line. Brilliant.
Though, when we start to get it back here, isn't it? That's when.
100%.
That felt very different.
Good.
Felt at the top, it still felt like it was out there.
Yeah, good.
Maybe 5 or.
I'd say 5. From my experience, I like to see people do it in sets, or 3s or 2s, whatever. Pick a set, but go 5 normal swings, then give 5 practice swings. But when you do the practice swings, make sure they're legit.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't try and cheat the system. That's what we tend to see a lot of people do. Very good. Hands work. All right. Working on those is really, really crucial. Once you've done that for you, your specification there is you wanted to get the club being a bit more out and over. And main thing is there you got the club back online at the top. It wasn't going across. But that's all done right from the word go. The momentum of the club does that for you. So you were taking it straight away around here, which could have been a hangover from the grip. Yeah. Getting the club around here, it then worked up, down, flat. Yeah. So you had like 5 different things going on. Yeah. So get that right first. Get the club moving out here. Keep the club head moving outside your hands. It will go over the hands, but that's redirecting the momentum to then come back down on the right path.
Yeah.
Whereas if we go this way, it wants to go that way.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Any questions?
No,
That was spot on. I enjoyed that. That gives me a chance to just talk golf. That's why I love this job so much. Brilliant.